Yes, yes, yes. And we are back for Teachers Appreciation Tuesday with our cosmic hostess, the queen of, I guess we can say, the almost the galaxy at this point, Miss
You're funny.
Elaine. There's probably going to be a statue built for you at the end of
Oh,
this
stop
show,
it.
so just be prepared for some sort of golden calf somewhere. I don't know, maybe,
Oh,
who knows? It'll
you're
take
too
over the
much.
bull on Wall Street. But we love her. Miss AlaenuRa Adams is
Oh,
with
thank
us
you.
tonight, and we are speaking about what it means to be human, and so many other things. I mean, that was our tentative topic for tonight, right? And we said we're
Mhm.
going to talk about what it means to be human, but we've gone into everything from the atom to the alien and the extraterrestrial, and many things in between. So, I think that, wherever you go tonight, Miss Adams, we are prepared to hang with you on your journey through our superconscious mind.
Mm.
And we love the superconscious. I love that you mentioned that earlier about the superconscious, because the superconscious is the totality. That's where all comes together at. We got the subconscious. Well, I mean, even lower than that, I guess we got unconscious. We have unconscious, right? And then we get up
Right.
to subconscious, and then we get into conscious, and then we go transcend beyond that into superconscious. Subconscious would kind of like be the one, I guess. It's kind of a negative one though, because it's not completely out there in the field. I would look at consciousness as the number one, and then I would look at the superconscious as the zero again. So I guess unconscious
Mm.
would be negative zero. Superconscious would be positive zero. Still the same zero, but once going back into the zero, a different state. I've always said that, we all come from the zero. I presented this paradigm of us coming from the zero, which is totality, the all, the mind of God, the universe, everythingness. And then we come down out of that and take on this human form, and we become these humans, and have this human experience. So that would be the number one, coming out of the zero. And in a biblical sense, zero would be God and one would be Jesus in that sense, right? And then as we learn more, the only thing that really matters is that all is us, that we are all is a part of us. It's like the more you know, the more you don't know kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
and you can get so intelligent that you realize that none of it really matters. And I always say that if you returned back to the zero, at least one, you're conscious. You lose all of the human side of you. So all of your
Mm.
experiences and all of the things that you've been through and all of that, you won't even remember that you were a human in that experience. So, when my friend tells me, I just want to find out what it all means, I want to get all the way into the zero, I'd be like, well, you know what? I think we might want to slide that down the scale and just stop at one. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm inclined
We
to
can
agree
really
with
smart
you,
one.
actually.
Okay.
I'm inclined to agree with you on that one totally, because from my experience, I went through a long period of, I remember I was in these relationships that really weren't happening for me, and then one day I just woke up to the fact that, it's really important to have a relationship with yourself, because there's nothing really out there that will bring us home other than coming home to ourselves or having a relationship with yourself, right? So, that began my journey, and I took vows to myself, and I got a ring, and I married myself, and I know how difficult it is to maintain those vows just for myself, let alone attempting to do that with
I love it.
another, right? So that was a
Right.
really important time of my life, and that was the birth of AlaenuRa, actually, And I
Mm.
had a few awakenings, and this particular awakening took me to my higher self. I met my higher self, right? And I thought that was the place to be. And then when I got there, it's like so many people who have near-death experiences, they often say, well, you can either stay here or you can go back, And that's the conversation I had, or my higher self had with me. And I was told that, you contracted to be here, right? And there are all these souls from throughout, these universal souls that are queuing up to have this human experience. So my journey then became a journey of descent, actually descending into human form.
Ascending.
Not ascending. Many people talk about ascension, and that is part of it as well. But what I was taught, or what I learned, or the information that I got, is that we are here to anchor heaven on earth, and by that we bring down our higher self into human form, right? So that completely concurs with what you're saying. It's the human experience that's the most exquisite thing. And it has been downgraded, it has been downplayed as just a mind-body experience, and all the identities, all the limitation that comes from being locked in that small human experience, right? And what comes from that, living in various social orders and traditions, culture, all of that kind of thing. But essentially, we are here to expand beyond those limitations and to really know who we are, right? And if we have the, if we can raise our vibration, so it is a journey of ascension to meet that 0 point you were talking about, then what do we do with that? Right?
Right. What do we do with it, Elena?
What do we do with that?
What do we do with that?
What do we do with that information? What do we do with that wisdom? What do we do with that shift? It's almost like the blinkers come off, right?
Yeah.
And we're able to, our peripheral vision and our oversight or our insight, it's not just a journey outwards, it's a journey inwards. That's what I discovered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're right, that is a profound question, is what do we do with that? When you say, how we, in a sense, as having this human experience, are anchoring heaven to earth. And it almost begs the question I like it, but why? What would be the purpose of bringing heaven to earth? If heaven is there, earth is here. But then at the same time, with this ever-evolving human, planet, and universe, obviously mind of God or the all or the unified field or the source or the vortex or whatever it's going to be called, it's obviously ever-evolving. And so the best way for me to look at it is like the cells in our body. There was at one point on the planet, if you go into the whole theory of evolution in this particular sense, there still are some on the planet, amoebas, right? One cell organisms, right? Which is basically a cell that grows legs, and is, right? And now we are humans with 100 trillion cells that make just one of us. So there's this one thing that is a one, but with one cell. Then there's one thing that is a one with 100 trillion cells, which leads me to believe that there was some transition between one cell to two cells being co-productive and coexistence in the same gelatinous nucleus, I guess, I don't know, body, I guess we could call it, and then those cells may have divided and turned into 4, kind of like a baby does in a mother's stomach once the egg is fertilized. It just kind of just keeps dividing and dividing and dividing until it has all of these cells, because I guess the egg in the mother's stomach is pretty much a one-celled situation. It is very Z1 cell. It is until it's fertilized and begins to divide and multiply against itself. So now here we are at 100 trillion cells as one person, and we may have very likely come from being a single cell, which was the egg in our mother's womb. So if that's happening, then the question is like, well, why? Well, with more cells, we have more brain cells, we have more touch cells, more sight cells, more hearing cells. So it refines us, it allows us to tap into frequencies, obviously, that already exist, and we're just able to, gain an awareness of these particular frequencies. So with heaven coming to earth, I guess it's, in a sense, it's an evolutionary process, would you say?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. It's we have the human template, which is all that you're talking about, all those trillions of cells that compose the human template, right? Just in terms of its apparatus, and even with the egg within the womb, that has all the information in terms of what it's required to do once it becomes fertilized. Everything is immaculate in its design. And my feeling is that, it's the same thing as individuals, that there is a grander design to our makeup and to who we are. It is a journey of transmutation or transcendence, transcending the mortal confines that we have become accustomed to. Okay, many people are talking about moving into 5D or 4D, and we're living in a three-dimensional world. And I've come to realize that, generally speaking, a lot of human beings are experiencing life through a 2D, 3D filter or blueprint, right? Which allows them to operate within the physical world, right? But, being 2D, 3D also means that you are within that whole sort of duality thing. It hasn't married together as one, okay? So the present human template that we're moving out of has been existing within a 2D or 3D. Prior to that, like in a lot of scriptures around the world, in Genesis, where they say that human beings, Adam and Eve, if you like, descended from grace. And that was our true position, let's put it that way, our five-dimensional space reality, okay? And we fell from five-dimensional space reality to a third and a fourth space-time reality. It was a gradual process before we got so locked into duality, 2D, 3D. You see, a two-dimensional reality gives you access to a three-dimensional reality, right? A three-dimensional reality gives you access to a fourth-dimensional reality. So for those people who are experiencing, who aren't so locked into like a 2D, real kind of like, you know what I mean, drama and, oh my God, limitation. For those people who are living in three-dimensional reality, have access to the fourth dimension. And that is the dimension that the majority of indigenous people on the planet are existing within, or existed within, before a lot of them were wiped out, right? Because, of course, so many indigenous people have been, even in America, like all the Native Americans, how many of them died as a consequence of the invasion of the Europeans, and the Spanish in South America, all that kind of stuff. So many of the indigenous people, they had shamanic traditions. They existed within a fourth-dimensional reality. So they were aware of the interconnectedness. They communicated with their ancestors. They were aware of their own inner technology that allowed them to journey and to gain wisdom and information necessary for their community, right? So, and there are many people in the West who have, opened up to 4D reality. And as we continue to expand, we eventually move into our fifth dimensional status, which is our divinity, right? And there's also another word that I often use, which is our sovereignty, and as a sovereign human being, we allow ourselves or give ourselves permission to claim that indigenous part of us. So that part of us that is actually of this planet. And that area allows us to have the ability to respond. In other words, to be the true custodians of this planet, and all its creatures and, the fauna and everything. I think, in the West, we are kind of like missing the point somehow, that, we have to live on this planet, and whatever we do has to be sustainable.
Right. Life, crops, air, water.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You're right. It's very important for the sustainability, of course, and we don't, there's, I don't even want to turn this, cosmic conversation into, anything as, I won't call it illegitimate as politics, but as contradictory to growth as something like politics, or that what they call the animal mind of the human side of nature, where we're dealing with food, flight, fight, fornication kind of thing, and that animal brain, that reptile part of our brain, quote unquote, as they call it. And there's those with the greed, right? So this, it all starts with it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, and I want all the water, I want all the food, I want all the crop, I want all the weed, I want all the this, and I can't really eat it all, but I don't want you to have it. And then we get to a point where we're like, well, you know what, we're going to just get rid of, well, we aren't, but, they're thinking we're going to just get rid of all the natural side of things and come up with this way of kind of making things that aren't natural at this point. And then we're going to put a monopoly on it. They have this genetically modified food, and you can't replant the seed, right? So the farmer has to go back to the place that he bought last year's corn seeds from, so that he can pay to get more corn seeds, because these seeds are made, to just grow this one time, and we've got all this seedless food and fruit, seedless watermelons and apples and stuff. So it's like, so you can't personally take the seed from this fruit, go plant it, and grow your own. You need to come back to us as your supplier. So it's taking that me thing, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, to the next level.
Yeah, these are all symptoms of dis-ease, I see it as all symptoms of dis-ease, as it's like, who taught the child to bite the hand that feeds it? Do you know what I mean? What happened there? And, I've come to realize that, we are living in a patriarchal world. It's been, for I don't know how many thousands of years, men have tried to create God in his image. And what's really interesting to me in that is that God isn't a gender, right? And going back to what we were talking about before, there are energies that are masculine and feminine. And within that, there's an innate wisdom that comes with that collaboration, So to feel that you can create life as you see it without the discipline that comes from the feminine, or from the accordance that comes from what's naturally occurring, then obviously you're going to find yourself in some kind of trouble along the way, And this is just my observation. I've been observing the human condition ever since I can remember as a child. I'm wondering why, what the hell's going on? And I'm being quite clear that I'm on a planet, but I am being urged to commit myself to a particular way of being, a social ordering, a systems, the matrix or whatever, right? And I don't know whether this conversation is really going to answer the question. in terms of what it means to be human.
I think we get it.
Are we okay?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's free will. It's really having choice, allowing yourself to have choice. Removing the shackles. Martin Luther King talked about freedom, and change is going to come, but that's only going to happen is if we allow ourselves to see the bigger picture. If we look at what connects us, what we all have in common, compassion in action,
Right.
Something happened here in the UK. I'm not sure if you heard, where there was that fire in a block of flats, and it was so tragic what happened. But what came out of that was the coming together of people to help and to support and to the outpouring of love and all sorts of things. And, it's a testimony for the human spirit, who we really are, that when the chips are down, we do come together. I suppose the question is that really do we have to wait as a species until something major happens on the planet where we all come on the same page,
Well, yes, sometimes it looks like, being human, we need a swift kick in the butt sometime to get started. It's like we need some sort of inspiration to do something.
Yes.
And, a lot of times love is the inspiration why we do this or that, right? And sometimes fear is the inspiration why we do this or that. But when you think about it, like us as evolved as we are, we should be self-starting mechanisms and not necessarily need inspiration to do the right thing or the great thing. And I think that's where we keep, asking ourselves the same question 100 different ways.
Yeah.
Because, what do you think that it would take for everybody to be on the same page? Do you think it would need to be, because there are some people who talk about if aliens or, extraterrestrials, we'll call them, beyond the terrestrial plane of Earth, beings that came from there, were to come to the Earth or invade or be like kind of hovering. You remember there was some radio station that said that they were aliens, and they kind of had this whole thing where there's a bunch of spaceships now hovering over Earth. I think even Will Smith did a movie where it was something like something for something whatever. And so now all these aliens are going to invade Earth, or these extraterrestrials are going to invade Earth. That right there would probably bring the black, the white, the Spanish, the Jewish, the Italian, the Muslim, the Buddhist. All of them would be like, well, we have to kind of defend Earth. We'll settle our differences later, but we have this outside thing, So we have this unified, kind of enemy or adversary, at least. So we must come together, and that is the theory, I guess, behind some of those kind of movies.
Yeah, and I think these movies are really powerful because it helps us remember that we live on one planet and we're only one human family, But what it also suggests is that instead of the enemy being like another human being, we are now putting it on some other being.
Yeah.
Extraterrestrial, right? So in a way it's kind of missing the point, because all these beings that are our allies, are not going to show up until we sort out our own differences, literally our differences, what we are using as our differences to separate us from each other, And anyone who believes they've had some sort of encounter, that's what they say. The reason why they would show up or they wouldn't show up is because of the present human condition. And, a symptom of that is terrorism, And the only reason why terrorism can or exists on the planet is because it taps into and it triggers the terrorist within. And that's quite a profound statement. You know, the terrorist within is that part of us that has been denied, that has been pushed down, that has been repressed, that has been regarded as unacceptable. And then that part of us builds into some phantom or into some sort of, ends up having some distorted agenda, right? And
the energy involved.
Yeah, exactly. And that's within the human condition. Just like shame, right? I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier about, okay, so what does this all mean, you know? What is the next stage? And the next stage is to have the audacity, if you like, to be courageous, to be powerful. Like, how beautiful do you dare to be? How powerful do you dare to be? How naked do you dare to be in terms of really showing up from the inside out? You know, how much of you do you dare to bring into the world? How much of what you know to be life, love, and living, or wisdom, or your gifts, do you dare to present into the world? You know, I truly believe that as a species we have enough. We have all the information already. We just need to come together, you know, and work together.
Right.
You know?
I do believe. I agree with that. So it's almost like you're saying, in a sense, as I'm listening to you, I'm hearing, you know, the beauty and the fear and the love and the dissension and the terroristic thoughts and the altruism that some of the humans exemplify. All of these different things are energy. The jealousy, the happiness, the greed, they're all energy.
Yeah.
So in a sense, to be human could be said to be a fertile, extremely fertile breeding ground for energy.
Of course it is. When you think about it, right? When you plant a seed, what are you planting it into? You plant it into
fertile
earth.
Soil.
But what is soil? Fertile soil is full of decay. It's decayed matter, right?
Yeah.
So all that we regard as unacceptable, all these things are fertile ground for the new to spring from. All we need to do is to bring them out of the shadows, bring them out of the closets, open the back doors, open the attic, open the basement, and let light flood in, right? And that's when we are able to accept the collective human unconscious, right? Because when you think about it, right, if you look at the human soul, right, it's like an iceberg in the ocean. So the tip that's above the water is what we might call our consciousness, our conscious awareness. And then you have so much more of it that exists below the surface of the water. So what lurks beneath is often what sponsors our conscious endeavor, right? But it sponsors it unconsciously. So we're not conscious that it's there. We feel it. We feel these emotions. We feel the resentments or the angst or the uncomfortableness or whatever it is. And what's really interesting to me is that all of this information that we might be feeling, if we feel tentative or if we feel unsure, it's our inner guidance system telling us, which is part of our inner technology, which is telling us how we feel about a particular situation, right? But by not listening to that inner guidance or allowing your inner guidance system, which are your feelings and your emotions that are telling you how you're feeling moment by moment, then it's almost like having a spaceship or any kind of vehicle without its own guidance system. So you're going to be on full alert. You're going to have your guns in your holster. You know what I mean? you're going to have your guns loaded just in case, because you don't know where the hell you're going, and you don't know whether that's a real threat or unreal threat, you know, or perceived threat, exactly. So this is the energy of the terrorist within, right? To disarm the terrorists within, you have to really look at the conditions in which that became active in the first place, you know, and if we are living in a patriarchal world, you know, where young boys are often brought up to not express their feelings or to know what these feelings are actually telling them about a situation, you know, then the majority of men that grow up in that way end up having no inner guidance system. So, and their guidance system also becomes their value system, knowing how they truly feel about something. So they're able to think for themselves, and they're able to be sovereign, right? Self-sustaining, self-aware. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Well, society does kind of pull the plug on men and the word feeling to start with, right? So men aren't supposed to feel, they're more supposed to react, and women are not supposed to react. I mean, this is by society standards. They're supposed to feel, right?
How do you feel about that, being a man? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Well, luckily I am somewhat in tune with my feelings, and I could actually answer that question.
Okay.
You know, and I feel that there's no balance there. I feel that we would be in a lack. We would be missing a large part of the experience called life and reality without having feeling. Because, you know, that's like being born with ears because you're a man, but no eyes. Being born with eyes because you're a woman, but no ears. And it's like, well, I kind of want to experience those frequencies as well. You know, and now that I'm able to experience those frequencies, then I feel so much more full. I feel so much more balanced. I feel so much more equitable. And, you know, I think many people, many humans are running around and they're unbalanced because they're only dealing with a certain percentage of the perceivable reality. You know.
Yeah.
That would be my take on it.
Yeah. I love that. And it's so important. You know, if you're going to have a relationship with another person, if you're going to have children, you know, you need to know how you're feeling, right? And you need to know how to express how you're feeling in a way that's non-confrontational, you know, that is compassionate, you know, and you know, the ideal situation, you know, even our relationships, the qualities of our relationship are changing, which I'm sure you're aware of that, you know, knowing that, you know, that you have your inner guidance system operational, right? It really allows you to you know, to propel all your relationships, you know, with your partner, with your children, and everyone you meet, in a way that's really human. Hello. Really human, you know, and that's something that we all have in common. That's how we can really be of service to each other, you know, where all that stuff that we were talking about earlier about, you know, the stuff that lurks beneath, you know, can be aired, can be shared, that can be, you know, it can be normalized and therefore humanized, you know what I mean? Rather than it remain sort of, you know, to fester or become something to be ashamed of, you know, when it's just energy in motion. It's just energy in motion. It's, you know?
Right. And that would be a great way to sum up how the human experience and what it means to be human is just to have these energies in motion and being the the shaman, to, or, in some terminologies, maybe even the sorcerer, to know what to do with these energies, how to transmute them, and how to use negative energies to balance positive energies and cut that solar galactic grass, and make the world would be a better place. But to be human would be to be in a constant state of evolution, looking for a way to balance all of those cylinders that we're running on.
Yeah, it's also allowing, I think we're living in a time where we need to allow things to be in the space rather than denying them being in the space. I mean, look at America. We've got a Donald Trump, right, which is, in my opinion, a reflection of the collective unconscious. How could this even be, right? So we are at a time now where the ridiculous will be in our face, right? And they'll be showing up as, are we really going to pull a blind eye to this? Is this really happening? So we're kind of now at a point where things are really going to show up big time in our lives on personal levels until we really accept that they're there. And then we allow them to be there even without doing anything, without reacting. So we just sit in that space. It's like if you're not able to swim and you get in the water, you have to stay in the water if you're going to get over not being able to swim, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So actually, it's something that came to me that Buddhism has shown us and teaches us compassion, right? Christianity talks about forgiveness, right? And I come to realize that Islam is about acceptance.
And submission.
Has come to teach us about acceptance, right? For whatever reason, without going into the ins and outs of why that is, right? Just like, why would Christianity, why would it talk about forgiveness? But my feeling is acceptance, really just accepting our differences and accepting what we have in common, what actually connects us all together as one,
Yeah, and I think that the golden thread there is love.
Love. Amen.
Love. Miss AlaenuRa, we had a fabulous time tonight. I would talk to you.
Oh, we over?
The sun came up. I know that was 2 hours. That was very quick. I know.
That's amazing.
It is. Time flies when you're having fun. And we love you. And we can't wait to speak
I love
with you again.
So much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You got to come back and talk to us again and give us that next lesson.
I'd love to. Thank you.